The internet is full of state-of-the-art websites covering all sorts of subjects. But when it comes to art, what's the state of websites for teachers? We went to Chestnut Grove School in South London, and the staff of the art department painted us a portrait of the best 10. At number 10 is the very special Specialist Schools and Academies Trust.
I think it's an interesting site for any school, and it's not just for specialist schools. If you want to find out about what's happening on a national level, sort of the newest initiatives that are happening, then it's a great site. If you want to find any case studies, any cross-curricular sort of projects, especially with art, then it's fantastic. Since coming to this school, which is a specialist school, it's opened up my understanding of the value of the arts in education. It should be essential for non-specialist schools to know where their specialist schools are, and there are hundreds around the country. The site obviously is a central point for all of that.
Next comes a website that anyone would want to add to their collection. Autograph makes its mark at number 9.
We both get excited by that sort of site because it's a site done by artists. It's not the only one of its kind, but I think for us, it's a site that we've visited quite a lot and encourage students to visit because it's actually so beautifully put together. You know, I mean, aesthetically, it's really lovely to look at, and it's not just modern; it's cutting-edge art, and I think that that's very important. Also, it does reflect the sort of diversity, the cultural diversity in this school, you know, and I think that's, you know, extremely important. You may not necessarily think you can contact the artists, but they are struggling artists, and they are only too happy to come into schools and work with the children. It's very visual, it's very easy to navigate, the images come straight up, and that's what it's about. The autograph site is just, you know, it's a piece of art.
Another resource collecting contemporary art takes 8th place in our gallery. Step this way.
Innova's like an archive, and it's also a website which houses contemporary work, international contemporary artwork. The site itself is also easy to use. It's very modern looking. I think the students enjoy the setup and the format of the site itself. It's very important that the artists are from a variety of different backgrounds, different cultures, different ethnic groups. Not a particular focus on a Black and Asian group like the other site that we've mentioned, but international in general, and I think means that students can compare themselves with successful working artists.
The ever-innovative Innova there. Our next entry comes from one of the old masters of educational resources. BBC Arts is number 7.
It's mainly events that are happening in the media, on the telly, you know, programmes that are going on, current events, which we deal with quite a lot in our projects here.
Subjects like 9/11 and that kind of thing, and they kind of need to get their facts straight, or if they're looking at like pollution or kind of environmental issues.
It's quite a nice site for just accessing images of what has happened in the news and so on. It is amazing when you think all the possibilities. You're just actually looking for an image of someone from EastEnders, you know, and you spend 5 seconds on it and then you're off.
The web allows students to look at the collections of galleries without going on a field trip, so our teachers put the British Museum site on display at number 6.
I think the British Museum is a very important site. In Key Stage 3 and I'm sure in Key Stage 2 there are projects that focus around the art of other cultures, in particular in Year 8 Shared View. I think that you can access the imagery or similar imagery in books and in other places, but I think anywhere contextualises the artefacts and the work that you can find there as well. You can search through a culture, you can search through a material, you can search through a time. A student might be interested particularly in ceramics, and so they could take that route. They might be particularly interested in Aboriginal art, and they can take that route. So it makes it very accessible.
We're halfway through our catalogue of top websites for art teachers. At number 5 on the list is a cultural institution, the National Gallery.
I think, although the National Gallery generally represents white male artists, it's interesting to look at that history. It's got a lot of resources, a lot of explanation to that sort of work of the past. It's got a great library of information about the artist as well, not just the images. I wouldn't say it was a piece of art, but it's presented in a way that you can navigate. But you do need, I think, pupils do need a little bit of guidance. The site is one of those sites that we'll have in the favourites, because it's very aware of the national curriculum. So, especially for Key Stage 3, I think it's very useful.
A third major gallery comes next. The Tate Online is in the frame at number 4.
We use it a lot, actually, and we send pupils to it if they need to find out about an artist.
They can search through material or through time or through artist, and so I think it kind of opens up the possibility for them to be able to compare their work with others.
When you're looking up an artist, you get a very short text which gives a brief explanation of that artist.
The use of their language and vocabulary, I think, is quite unusual, and I think it's particularly useful at GCSE for students to be able to see that language used so they can adapt their own kind of annotation and analysis of their work. I think the Tate does a great job. I think in particular the breadth of work that's available for students to be able to access, from installation to some of the old masters on the same site, I think is definitely valuable.
On the third place plinth is a web-based encyclopedia, the artfully named Artcyclopedia.
Artcyclopedia is sort of quite a commercial site where you see a lot of things for sale on as well, but you tend to, when you're looking through the main search engines, you tend to end up going through Artcyclopedia because it will give you an immense amount of links. I came across the site just through searching under artists. I think I was looking under sculptors, and Artcyclopedia came up, and it was great because it gave me a sort of category: sculptors, metal, wood, stone, and then a list of artists which I could then go into. It lists all the main well-known artists, and sometimes artists that I've known have not popped up on there. It covers all the main names, I suppose. This is quite a quick search engine to find information for pupils and for them to find categories. They get their exam papers, they are given a theme like natural forms, and it's very, very quick for them to find a group of artists who may be linked to that title. It's just linking you up to sites. In itself is not particularly exciting to look at. It just gets you somewhere.
The directory-based search engine Yahoo is at number 2. I always thought a Yahoo was someone who had no appreciation for art. Apparently not.
I think Yahoo is a great way to start off quite a broad-based search through the arts part of the site. You'd be starting looking at a direction or of a movement or of a material or of a technique, and so it's useful for that. It's not fast in the way that Google is, because it doesn't bring you straight to images. It gives you links, and so it's probably perhaps a more thorough way of working. I think probably Yahoo might be a more realistic comparison to researching in other ways, because it's not an immediate result. You don't immediately come up to images. You are required to have a thought process which will lead you to a result. So I think probably it might be easier for some of the older students. The younger ones might find it a bit more tricky.
I think people do. I have colleagues who virtually stay on Yahoo all the time, and yet I'll be using Google, and we don't really know why, to be honest. And then when they introduce me to Yahoo, oh, you've got to look this way, get all my images from. I think, oh yeah, that's excellent. I don't think there's much difference really.
Before we reveal what the staff of Chestnut Grove School chose as their #1 website for art teachers, let's review the movement of 10 down to 2. At 10, the Specialist Schools and Academies Trust. At 9, Autograph. At 8, Innova. At 7, BBC Arts. At 6, the British Museum. At 5, the National Gallery. At 4, Tate Online. At 3, Art Cyclopedia. At 2, Yahoo Art Masters. So what's top of the pile? Teachers and students alike love to go ogle at the images found using the enormously powerful search engine. You've guessed it, Google.
Google is definitely the most used site that we have at school, and very different from some of the others in terms that it's fast, it's immediate, it's visual, and definitely for our students at this school that's a very, very important factor. It makes it accessible. It means that they can have results at all levels, especially lower levels. It means that they can make links and they can make comparisons immediately. That isn't always appropriate. At times it's important for students to be able to learn to make those decisions and research in a more independent way, but it's definitely an excellent starting point which we rely on.
It's just as exciting for them to find an image of the Tate Gallery on the embankment and cite their little piece of work they photographed and just sort of put it in position, to see what it would look like. And so it's so accessible and so quick that's what we use it for. But, we then want to get back into the classroom making things.
Google, the internet in general, is an extremely exciting resource for the students. They're always excited to go in there and be able to do that. It also means that students can have a bit of a personal difference in the way that they work. If we're to provide resources, if they're not going to be able to make that independent journey themselves, then work is going to end up being very similar and kind of a bit dry, really.
We actually have to admit we use it the most because it's very, very quick, and in the end, that's when you want to find an image quickly, that's what what you're looking for. So you haven't got time to worry about how to navigate through something. You just want to find an image quick, print a bit of information off, and there you go.
And there we go too. You can find all the sites mentioned in this programme and more at our website at teachers.tv. Happy clicking.